the Great Depression changed everything. With jobs gone and money tight, families had to depend on their gardens for more than just food. Grandma knew this better than anyone. She turned to herbs, simple, homegrown plants that could flavor meals, soothe coughs, and help her family through hard days. These weren't just kitchen staples, they were tools for survival. In this video, we'll look at 20 herbs Grandma grew during the Great Depression and how they helped her keep the family fed, healthy, and hopeful. As always, remember that while these herbs were used in the past for both cooking and medicinal purposes, it's essential to consult a healthcare professional before using them today. Number 20. Sorrel. Grandma loved sorrel for its tangy, lemony bite, and in the Great Depression, that flavor meant everything. Lemons were a rare luxury, but sorrel grew like a weed. She'd pluck the leaves straight from the garden and toss them into soups or slice them into potato dishes to add brightness. It gave that sharp, refreshing kick you couldn't get anywhere else. Kids didn't always like the taste, but adults appreciated what it brought to the table. Sorrel also packed a good dose of vitamin C, which helped keep scurvy at bay when fresh fruit was hard to come by. Some families even harvested it wild from nearby fields, but Grandma always kept a patch near the back door. Easy to grow and always ready to use, sorrel was one of those plants that quietly sustained families. Number 19. Horehound. Horehound was a household staple when medicine was scarce and coughs lingered through the winter. Grandma knew its bitter leaves could be turned into a candy remedy that soothed sore throats and eased congestion. It wasn't sweet like today's lozenges, but it worked. Families would simmer the leaves into strong syrups, then cook the mixture into hard candies, wrapping them in wax paper for storage. Horehound thrived in dry, rocky soil and came back year after year without fuss. Some folks even believed it warded off colds, so a jar of Horehound candy was always close by. Kids might have made faces at the taste, but they remembered how it helped. In an era where every plant had to earn its place, Horehound offered relief, resilience, and a recipe passed down through generations. Number 18. Anise Hyssop. During the Great Depression, Grandma relied on more than just food crops. She turned to herbs like Anise Hyssop. This tall, fragrant plant with lavender flower spikes was beautiful and incredibly useful. With its sweet, licorice-like scent, she brewed it into teas that helped calm coughs, ease congestion, and settle uneasy stomachs. It was also a natural breath freshener, and some even used it in homemade candies when sugar was scarce. Anise Hyssop attracted bees and butterflies, keeping her garden pollinated and thriving. The plant thrived in poor soil and required minimal water, making it a perfect choice for challenging times. Whether dried for winter or picked fresh in summer, it was one of those quiet heroes that helped keep the family going when almost nothing else could. Number 17. Lovage. During the Great Depression, Grandma called it poor man's celery. Lovage was tall, leafy, and full of strong, savory flavor that made bland meals taste like something special. When store-bought celery was too expensive or just unavailable, she'd head to the garden and cut a few stalks of lovage. It went into soups, stews, and meat pies, adding depth with just a few chopped leaves. The whole plant was useful. The stems, leaves, and even the seeds were dried and saved. Unlike celery, lovage thrived in poor soil and didn't need much water or care. It kept coming back year after year through droughts and tough seasons. Families often dried large bunches and stored them for winter. In kitchens where waste wasn't an option, lovage became a reliable friend. Bold, practical, and impossible to forget. Number 16. Spearmint. Spearmint wasn't just a flavor. It was comfort. In the heart of the Great Depression, Grandma grew it right by the kitchen door where she could reach for a handful whenever someone had a stomachache, a headache, or just a heavy heart. Its cool, crisp scent was a natural mood lifter, and the leaves brewed into calming teas that soothed nerves after long, uncertain days. When sugar was scarce, Grandma used spearmint to add flavor to baked goods, jellies, or even just warm water with a squeeze of lemon. It was hearty, fast-growing, and spread quickly. Sometimes too quickly. But no one complained. Kids would chew the leaves like gum, and guests were often served a cup of mint tea with dinner. In hard times, spearmint brought a little peace, one fragrant leaf at a time. Number 15. Chervil. In the shadow of hardship, Grandma turned to Chervil, an herb known for its delicate, almost feathery leaves and a flavor that tasted like parsley with a whisper of anise. It wasn't bold, but it brought grace to plain meals, adding a touch of spring to soups, eggs, and stews. Chervil thrived in cool, shaded corners of the garden, which meant it didn't compete with other vegetables for space or sunlight. That made it a quiet ally in hard times. Grandma often used it fresh, but she also dried it and tucked it away in jars for winter. It wasn't just about taste. Many believed it supported digestion and had a mild cleansing effect on the body. In a time when every plant had to earn its place, Chervil stayed because it was gentle, easy, and quietly helpful. Number 14. Bee Balm, Wild Bergamot. In Grandma's garden, bee balm was practical. With its bright flowers and minty citrus scent, she brewed it into a calming tea when black tea was too expensive to buy. Folks called it Oswego tea, and during the Depression, it became a treasured substitute for tea. The petals brought color to the garden, but more importantly, they brought comfort. Bee balm is rich in natural compounds that helped with digestion, fevers, and colds, making it a go-to remedy for minor illnesses. And it wasn't just good for people, it fed the bees and butterflies that kept the garden thriving. Some families even used the flowers as a natural dye or dried them for winter teas. In tough times, bee balm was a bright, blooming reminder that nature could still take care of you. Number 13. Sweet Cicely. In hard times, Grandma knew how to make the most of what she had, and Sweet Cicely was one of her best-kept secrets. This delicate herb, with its fern-like leaves and tiny white flowers, had a naturally sweet anise-like flavor. She used it to stretch sugar, which was expensive and often hard to find. A few crushed leaves could sweeten pies, stewed fruits, and even oatmeal, saving precious rations. But Sweet Cicely wasn't just for flavor, it was also trusted as a digestive aid. After heavy meals of beans or bread, Grandma would brew a simple tea from its leaves and roots to ease stomach troubles. It grew well in cool, shady parts of the garden, and once planted, it came back year after year. Number 12. Woodruff. Back then, Grandma didn't just grow herbs for flavor, she grew them for comfort, and woodruff was one of her favorites. With its sweet hay-like scent and dainty white flowers, it brought a calming presence to the garden. Woodruff thrived in shade, which meant even the darkest corners of her yard had a use. She dried the leaves and tucked them into drawers to keep clothes smelling fresh or steeped them into teas and homemade May wine. Some evenings, she'd mix it into a summer punch, turning mealtime into something that felt like a celebration. It was even used to flavor desserts or create potpourri to lift the mood indoors. In hard times when joy was rare and store-bought luxuries were out of reach, Woodruff reminded the family that nature still offered little pleasures. Number 11. Winter Savory. Winter Savory was one of Grandma's secret weapons in the kitchen. With its sharp, peppery taste, it turned plain beans, stews, and meats into meals that felt satisfying, especially when food was scarce. She valued it not just for flavor, but for how little it needed to thrive. It held up through rough soil, dry spells, and cold snaps, making it a reliable herb through every season. Folks back then also believed it helped with digestion, which came in handy during hard times when meals were heavy and simple. Some even rubbed it on meat to help them last longer. It wasn't flashy, but Winter Savory earned its spot in the garden by pulling more than its weight. It reminded people that even the humblest herbs could offer comfort, flavor, and a little bit of resilience. Number 10. Calendula. Grandma called it poor man's saffron, but there was nothing second-rate about calendula. Its golden orange petals lit up the garden like a sunrise and added warmth to every corner of the kitchen. She used it to bring color and mild peppery flavor to soups, stews, and even bread. The petals also doubled as a natural dye for fabric, giving homemade clothes a cheerful tint. Calendula was more than a culinary helper. It was a medicine chest in bloom. Grandma turned it into salves for cuts and scrapes or soaked the petals in oil to soothe skin irritations. Even in drought or poor soil, calendula thrived, making it one of the most reliable herbs in her garden. When life got rough, she'd always say, "If calendula's blooming, we'll be just fine." Number 9. Chicory. Grandma didn't waste a thing, and chicory was proof. With its sky blue flowers and sturdy roots, this wild-looking herb was more than just a roadside weed. During the Great Depression, when coffee was too expensive or completely unavailable, she dug up chicory roots, roasted them until they turned dark and fragrant, then ground them as a coffee substitute. The bitter, earthy brew wasn't exactly a luxury, but it warmed cold mornings and gave tired workers something to hold on to. And the leaves? Those went into salads when greens were scarce. Chicory thrived in poor soil and didn't need much care, which made it ideal for backyard survival gardens. Even the bees loved its blossoms, making it a quiet contributor to pollination. For Grandma, chicory was a garden essential. Number 8. Marshmallow. Grandma's marshmallow plant was tall, soft-leaved, and always humming with bees. She grew it mostly for its roots, which she'd slice and dry into a soothing tea. When someone came down with a cough or upset stomach, out came the marshmallow. Its slippery texture helped coat the throat and calm digestion. Even the leaves were used in poultices for burns and swelling. And yes, every now and then she made a sweet treat from the roots, though it wasn't the fluffy stuff we know today. The marshmallow thrived in damp spots where other plants struggled. It was dependable, quiet, and healing, like Grandma herself. Number 7. Lemon Balm. Lemon balm was more than just a cheerful herb, it was comfort in a cup. Grandma grew it for its bright, lemony leaves that made calming teas when nerves were frayed and sleep was hard to find. During the Great Depression, stress was everywhere, and this herb brought a sense of calm after long, anxious days. It grew quickly, filled out garden beds easily, and didn't require much care, which made it a favorite for busy families struggling to make ends meet. When dried, its leaves retained their flavor, allowing Grandma to store them for winter and brew a soothing tea all year round. Lemon balm was a gentle reminder to slow down, breathe, and take a moment. In times when comfort was scarce, lemon balm offered a small measure of peace, one warm cup at a time. Number 6. Costmary, Bible leaf. Grandma grew costmary not just for its scent, but for everything it could do. Its long, minty balsamic leaves flavored teas, sweetened baked goods, and freshened drawers and closets. Some families called it Bible leaf because they'd tuck a sprig between the pages to use as a bookmark and maybe sneak a sniff during long sermons. In the Great Depression, costmary earned its place by repelling insects, calming upset stomachs, and even easing headaches. It didn't need much attention, which made it a reliable herb when time and resources were short. Children were taught not to waste a single leaf. Dried or fresh, this herb kept households going, especially when store-bought remedies weren't an option. In every corner of her home and garden, Grandma found a use for costmary, and that's why it never went to waste. Number 5. Feverfew. Feverfew had a strong scent, reminiscent of menthol and wildflowers combined. To some, it was too bitter, but Grandma didn't plant it for taste. She valued what it did. During the Depression, she steeped its daisy-like blooms into tea to calm fevers, headaches, and the kind of bone-tired stress no doctor could treat. Grown along the edges of the garden, Feverfew acted like a natural shield, repelling pests while standing up strong in poor soil. Saint, some neighbors swore it worked better than aspirin, though Grandma just smiled and said, "It keeps my head clear." It wasn't a miracle cure, but it was something, and back then, something meant everything. Number 4. Borage. Borage might look like just another flowering herb, but during the Great Depression, Grandma saw it as a blessing. With its star-shaped blue flowers and fuzzy leaves, it was a symbol of resilience and quiet strength. Borage leaves were steeped into tea to soothe stress and lift tired spirits, something many families needed back then. The cucumber-like flavor of the leaves also made them a refreshing addition to salads and soups. Grandma especially loved how the flowers attracted bees, helping the rest of the garden flourish. In times when every plant had to earn its place, borage stood out. It grew fast, reseeded itself easily, and required almost no fuss. It was both beautiful and practical, offering a small taste of hope in difficult times. Number 3. Salad burnet. Back in the Great Depression, Grandma grew salad burnet for its crisp, cucumber-like flavor. The fresh leaves added brightness to soups, sandwiches, and the simplest garden salads, especially when real cucumbers were out of season or too expensive. But this herb wasn't just about taste. It grew quickly, needed very little care, and thrived even in rocky soil. That made it a perfect fit for struggling families with limited garden space. Its delicate leaves were often picked in the early morning and used the same day, ensuring nothing went to waste. Some even believed salad burnet could help cool fevers and ease digestion. And with its soft green foliage, it doubled as a charming border plant. It wasn't flashy, but it was dependable, just like Grandma, quietly doing what needed to be done to keep the family going. Number 2. Valerian. Valerian had clusters of white flowers and a scent people either loved or couldn't stand. But Grandma didn't grow it for its looks. She grew it for sleep. When anxiety ran high and sleep ran short, she'd dry the roots and steep them into a strong tea. It wasn't sweet, but it worked. She even mixed it into feed for restless animals on the farm. Its calming effects were well known by folks who couldn't afford sedatives or had nowhere to turn but the garden. Valerian thrived in the back of the herb patch, a quiet ally for troubled minds. Number 1. Skullcap. Tucked into the shadier part of Grandma's garden was Skullcap, a small plant with delicate blue flowers that never asked for much. Its real magic lay in its leaves. Grandma used them to make teas for stress, muscle aches, and those nights when the worry wouldn't let her sleep. Sometimes she combined it with lemon balm or chamomile to calm frayed nerves after a long day in the fields. Skullcap wasn't a household name, but to those who knew it, it was gold. It didn't cure everything, but it made things easier, the kind of help you only notice when it's gone. During the Great Depression, when nerves were raw and tensions high, skullcaps gave families something rare: peace. The Great Depression tested every family's strength, but herbs like these helped Grandma push through. They weren't just plants, they were trusted remedies and quiet comforts. Which one do you remember? Let us know below, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories from the garden.